My wife asked me to choose between her or my mom. I'm going to divorce her. Before confronting my wife I had time to reflect, and I came to the conclusion that I will never again let anyone in my life dictate the relationship I should have with my mother or the time I should dedicate to her. So I decided to answer the ultimatum, but first I wanted to know if there was another reason why she gave me this ultimatum. She replied that nope. I asked her apart from what she blamed me for, was there something she wanted to tell me but couldn't tell me. She said there was nothing and asked me to come to the point, so I told her I wanted a divorce. She remained frozen. I think she was shocked because she wasn't talking. She was just staring at me. I tell her everything that was on my mind, that our values are too different. I was going through the worst moment of my life. My mother was sick. We did several tests with her. We still don't know what she's suffering from. We don't know her family medical history because she was an orphan. It makes me anxious to know that overnight I could find myself alone in the world. Yes, alone in the world, because in these difficult times, all I needed was her support. But if my own wife thinks that I should give less attention to my mother who is sick and who needs me more than ever, it's time to go to our separate way. She still didn't say anything, so I told her I'm going to a hotel for now and we'll discuss later how we're going to separate. I took some of my things and left. The next day when I went to see my mother, she figured out something wasn't right, but I was not going to tell her I was separating from my wife because she could not bear our relationship, especially since she was sick like that. I didn't want to add more torment to her. I never discuss my marriage issues with my mother anyway, so she does not know our problems, and honestly, she adores my wife too much, and my wife behaves as if she was her own mother, so I was not going to tell her what she was thinking behind her back. My mom ends up telling me that my wife didn't come by that day. Yes, my wife, who asks me to reduce my contact with my mother, was seeing her every day and I never asked her to do anything for my mother. She calls my mother mom. When she gets sick, she used to go to my mother so she will take care of her. It used to hurt me because it's as if I couldn't take care of her, but she said that this was not the same. The attentions of a mother are different. I told myself that it was her way of creating a mother-daughter bond that she never had, and I understood her. She ever said her mother used to tell her that she was not supposed to be born, that she was an accident, that she almost aborted her and regrets not doing it. Only a monster could say that to her child. So I never said anything whenever she wanted my mother's attention. Besides, I received enough love to share with whoever wanted. My mother, after I left home to study, became a foster mom for children. She always did until 2 years ago. I have always loved each of the children with whom I still keep in touch and whom I consider to be my siblings. Once a year, we all went on vacation together for a week, the children, my mother and my wife. I generally take 2 months of vacation, of which the 6 weeks I devoted it to my wife, but the 2 weeks that I devote to my mother and the children, it was too much for my wife. Anyway, I'm rambling. So when my mom told me she didn't come to see her that day, I went back home because I was worried. I found her in the bathroom with her clothes and red eyes like she was crying all along. Seeing her like that was unbearable. I helped her out, but this woman, who has so much pride, collapsed in front of me with lot of crying. I don't know if it was an hour or two, but she kept crying, calmed down, crying again. I just stayed silent. She ended up telling me that deep down she never wanted me to involve any less in my mother life. She was always jealous of our relationship. She was always jealous of the attention my mother gave to the other children. She knows that it wasn't rational, but she couldn't help constantly striving to be number one in my mother's heart. It was kind of a competition for her, so when I wanted to take care of my mom, she didn't want me to be the one taking care of her. I was honestly furious without saying anything, of course, but I wondered if she was a psychopath or something. We are talking about a person who is seriously ill, and she is thinking about her damn competition, even if it means sabotaging the relationship I have with my mother and putting us in a situation where I wanted to divorce her. She told me that she was very jealous of me and that she would have liked to be in my place. If she had to choose, she would have even chosen to be my mother's child rather than my wife, even if I was the love of her life and the only man she ever known. She also told me that even if the world falls apart around me, I will remain stoic, that I live as if I don't need anyone, and that I give everything to others, but I don't know how to let others reach me, and she never managed to get there. Only my mother could get there. At that moment, I did not know what else to say. I was hooked on this idea of competition so that I did not immediately grasp the scope of these words. But I still listened to her to the end. I put her to bed until she fell asleep. Then I went to sleep in another room. In the morning she was acting like anything happened. She was being herself. She said, "I don't have to pity." I told her it was out of love. She was still my wife. She left to work and I do the same, but decided to stay at the hotel from the time being. During that time, I wondered what I could have made the saying act so that she could think about that. Deep down I think she's right. It's a defense mechanism I've had since childhood. I've never stayed in one place longer to make friends. It was heartbreaking to every time we have to move. Between my 5 to my 15 I have moved more than 50 times, from apartment to apartment, from hotel room to hotel room, and since then I think I have always lived my relationships like a squat. I never unpacked and settled in because I knew at any moment I could be kicked out, but I thought with my wife I acted differently, but I guess not. So I thought maybe we didn't need to go that far. What we needed wasn't divorce but therapy. Then this happened. A little over a week after our discussion, I was called from the hospital. My wife had been hospitalized. She apparently did not feel well. I went to visit her, but she didn't want to see me. If you see the eyes I saw, I've never seen so much hate in just 2 eyes. I told her besties so she can have her system support because she didn't want me there. I told my mom. She asked me what I had done to my wife so that she ended up in the hospital, and that I should not stress a woman who was pregnant. I said what? She told me my wife told her and asked her to keep it a secret because she wanted to tell me herself when she was ready. I don't know what was going through my head. Between anger that it was my mother who told me or happiness at having to be a dad for the first time and total confusion at the surreal situation. I went to my wife and told her I knew, but she looked at me again angrily and told me she had lost the baby and it was my fault. In an instant, I just get the news my wife was pregnant but keep it from me, that I was going to be a dad and that we lost the baby and that she was accusing me of having caused something that I did not even know. She asked me to leave and I left. I always wanted children, very early on. My wife wanted to put her career first, I understood and accepted. I've been trying to convince her for years but without success. Now she gets pregnant, she doesn't tell me anything, she talks to my mother about it, and she says I caused her miscarriage. Since then, she says she didn't tell me anything because she wanted to first confirm if I could deal with all the responsibilities I give myself and raise a child at the same time. I don't understand her, and I admit since then I have a fierce hatred against her. I don't know how to look at her without having anger on me and I don't want to hurt her with my words. I take care of her at home but we don't talk to each other. I'm not going to stay with her, it's not possible. I started a session with a psychologist. He told me that patience was my best weapon, that I shouldn't make a permanent decision on emotions that could be temporary and that I should take time to see if there were things to salvage. Here is where I am. I don't know if I'll do another update. I took days off to be there for my wife and for my mother but I'm feeling pretty depressed and I just want to get away from all this bullcrap right now.